Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. So today I'm going to be talking about the Tacticam Reveal X Pro. I just picked up 4 of these. It's my first year using cellular trail cameras. I'm going to be using them on my home farm this year, and I wanted to go ahead and get some cell cameras out there. I've been thinking about it for several years now. I've always used standard cameras, and I just noticed that kind of behind the game with a lot of other folks that use cameras, still going out there tracking my scent around, getting my scent all over the woods, and pulling those cards periodically just to check to see if any deer have been coming through. So I'm going to be moving out there this year, so I wanted to eliminate that process and keep some cameras out, all season, and just be able to anticipate, deer movement when it's coming through, what types of deer are coming through, do an inventory, and just kind of pattern the deer a little bit better. So I think cell cameras are the way to go for that. I'm not convinced I'm going to be using them on public yet. I think I'll probably still use my standard cameras on public just because these cameras aren't cheap. They're around 150 bucks a piece. And then you got to add, the batteries, the SD cards. If you're running external power sources on them, you got to think about all that. So let's go ahead and open this up, and I'll show you what we're working with here. So when you get these boxes, I've bought a couple from Amazon, and I bought a couple from a box store. I think I got them from Rural King, and I've noticed that the newer ones that I bought from Amazon come with different SIM cards than the older versions. So the 2 that I got from Rural King came with a Verizon and an AT&T SIM card, and the ones I got from Amazon just came with like a dual SIM card, and it's going to be like a black card like this. It'll just say Reveal on it. And I called Tacticam about this, and they said that the newer models, they're going to default to Verizon. So if you get one of these and it just has that one SIM card in it, it's going to default to Verizon. So you need to go into the settings and actually change that to AT&T if that's the best carrier network that works in your area. But the 2 that I got from Rural King, they came with like a Verizon or an AT&T SIM card. So whatever works best in your area, you go ahead and take out that SIM card. Verizon works pretty good where I'm at, so I went ahead and used a Verizon SIM card on both of those other 2 models. So I don't have any issues. I won't have to change any settings because it's already defaulted to Verizon with these new SIM cards in there. So that's the first thing I noticed about the components of these other 2 models that I got. They're all the same X Pros, but I've noticed they've changed the SIM cards, so be on the lookout for that. So you're going to get your camera body, your antenna, and it'll come with your strap if you want to use one of those. I still use straps just because I can keep it kind of close to the tree and move it, adjust it, make micro adjustments if I need to. Kind of just put a stick behind it and call it a day. Save some money that way. I don't have to buy those little ports that they sit on, those little podiums that you can buy. Stick them against the tree and kind of angle them any direction you want to. But I looked at them. I just kind of like the way the straps work, for the simple fact that I'm going to be putting Python locks on all these cameras this year, so I want to kind of keep them as close to the tree as I can, so that I can kind of camouflage them as best as I possibly can and keep all the straps tightened together. So when you open these cameras, the X Pros are a little bit different than some of the previous models of the Tacticams. I was about to pull the trigger on some XBs last year, and then I started looking at the X Pros, and the LCD screen is probably the best feature about these updated models. And when you decide on what kind of power source you want to use, so for example, I'm going to be using both internal and external batteries this year. So the ejection port for that is just right there in the center for the internal battery compartment, and so it takes 12 AA's. And the best thing about these lithium batteries is if you don't use them, they have a 20-year shelf life. So I'm just going to be using those as kind of a backup, and I'm going to be using battery boxes, a 12 volt 7 amp hour battery, external battery that plugs in at the bottom of the battery pack. And for these cameras, they will run off of an external battery source before the internal batteries. So if you use those batteries like I was saying for the external port, it'll drain that battery first, and then you go recharge that and plug it back in. You could literally leave these lithium batteries in there for 20 years or longer, and never even use them. Just kind of have them as a fail-safe in case your external battery source dies on you while you're out there. With those batteries that I'm going to be running, those 7 amp hour batteries, I'm probably going to get 3 to 4 months on those batteries of use, which is probably far superior than just running AA batteries. I've heard some guys, depending on what settings you use, whether it be just photo only or video and photo, you might drain those batteries in a month or two. So those get really expensive. I think an 8-pack is what I bought, was like 24 bucks, 25 bucks. And the first time I bought a couple a piece, and then this last go around I bought a 24-pack from Amazon for almost $68. So that's a big expense to think about. So using these only as a backup is kind of what I was going with in case my external battery dies on me. So some of the specifications on these cameras that I like, just talking about like its functions and features, I really like the no glow IR technology with these cameras, because a lot of the old model cameras that I have, they have red flashes, white flashes, whatever the case may be, and that's really distracting to a deer. And so in the past with my standard cameras, I've always put them up high as far as I can, and sometimes up to 15-20 feet away from whatever target I'm aiming them at, whether it be like a mock scrape or a water hole or a mineral site, something like that, and just trying to keep it out of the deer's peripheral vision. And that can be hard to do. But with these cameras, you can keep them right in front of the object, and they're not going to have any flash that are going to distract the deer and see your camera. You might want to still try to camouflage as best you can. I've seen people do a multitude of different things. They don't have the best camo pattern, but it's not that big of a deal, because the battery boxes, the Python cables, everything that I'm using in conjunction with these cameras, I went ahead and spray painted. I don't like anything shiny in the woods, and that's including like my stands, climbing sticks, anything like that I'm taking with me to the woods. I never want anything that could potentially scare deer away just by being too bright, shiny, reflective. So I'm always trying to eliminate that before I get out there. With this, I also bought a few things. So I bought these 32 gig Reveal SD cards. Now these SD cards are basically formatted specifically for these cameras. So that's kind of why I just went and picked them up, because I was looking at Walmart, several other areas for the type of battery, or excuse me, the type of SD cards that they require. So if you look on the Reveal website, it's going to tell you that they require either like the SanDisk Extreme Pros, Lexars, or the Herd 360 Elite Pros, and they should be class 10, not class 4, U3, not U1, 16 gig or 32 gig, which these are 32 gig, and then nothing bigger than that or nothing less, and then also a minimum read speed of 90 megabytes per second, and they should be the full-size SD cards, not the micro SD cards. So brands like PNNY, HME, ONN, and other lower quality SD cards are not compatible. So if you want to get the best results out of these cameras, make sure you're using the right SD cards. These are class 10 U3s, and they're 32 gig with a 90 megabyte per second speed. So I went and picked 4 of these up. They were $19.97 on Amazon a piece. I had a bunch of other SD cards, and none of them were the U3. I think some of them were class 10, and some of them were too big, or so I had like some SD cards that were over 100 gigabytes, and I was like, you know what, I'm just gonna go ahead and use what they suggest, especially if you have any issues with these cameras. They're gonna be able to troubleshoot, and that's gonna be one of the first things they ask you is what type of SD card you're using. And I've heard of some folks having some issues with their cameras actually reporting all the photos or videos that they're supposed to be getting. Maybe it was due to the SD cards. So make sure you just get the right card from the get-go, and you shouldn't have any issues. That's one of the biggest selling points I think there is about Tacticam, is their quality is above par for most cell cameras out there on the market. And they have a pretty good customer service team. I called the other day. It took me about 5 minutes to get a hold of somebody and just ask them, because I had specific questions about the SIM cards that they came with, because they were different, and answered my questions. Got emails immediately, with a follow-up and who I was talking to, and I like that about the company so far. And I've noticed just from some friends using them that they're very efficient. And I've watched a lot of videos on YouTube, just kind of done some comparisons of other cameras, and Tacticam usually wins in a lot of different categories. One of the biggest factors that I liked about them is the speed at which the photos actually return to your camera after they're taken. So I watched a video, a gentleman using this camera, or this brand of cameras, and it was a winner out of like 6 cameras every time. It would send pictures to his phone within like 5 to 10 seconds. It was pretty quick. So when something's coming through your woods, you want to know about it as fast as possible. So that's a big selling point for me. Another thing is obviously the no glow, no flash technology. I like that, the infrared technology there. It has sub 1/2 second trigger speeds, which is pretty good. Built-in GPS, the LCD screen. So like if somebody steals this, you register it, they're going to be able to track, where this is at. You want to go ahead and register this when you buy these, so you can get the warranty information in there. It does have a hybrid mode, which, like I was talking about, you can do photo and video at the same time. If you want additional HD photos or videos sent to your phone, other than just pulling the SIM card and looking at them, you can pay for those, but the plans are actually pretty reasonable from what I've seen other plans as well. So I'll pull up the cell plans here, just kind of talk to you about what the monthly plans are like. So I'm going to be running 4 of these, in my woods, and so I'll probably start off with just a monthly plan instead of a yearly, and then I'm thinking like I can probably get by with the minimum package, which for the starter plan, it's 250 photos per camera, and it's $5 a month. So if you want to add a camera to that, it's just an additional $5 per camera. So I can run 4 cameras for 20 bucks a month. That's really not that bad. And if it gets into like the height of the season around October, November time frame, I feel like I'm not getting all the pictures to my phone. More deer are coming through, like if it's at like a mineral site, or something like it gets a little closer to season. Here in Indiana, we can't bait, so we have to pull all of our like feeders or mineral sites out, I think about a month. I think it's 30 days before season starts. But I've got water holes and things like that. I'll still keep them on. I'm thinking I'll probably put a few in an area of about 32 acres where I'm going to be doing a majority of the hunting. I've got a couple stands set up back there, and I'll probably be putting one on a mineral site for now, and then a few probably on licking branches or mock scrape, something like that, on some field edges, and maybe even back a little bit tucked into the woods. And so with the plans, you have the option to get an intermediate plan, which is 500 photos per month per camera. Honestly, I think the best thing to do would be just be to month to month, so that way you can figure out whether or not you need all those photos. And then they have a pro plan, an unlimited, that's it's going to be $13 a month, and then if you do the yearly, it's $120. So additional cameras, $12 a month. So it just depends on what you want to do. There's some different packages there. I think you get a little bit of a discount for the more cameras you put on there. But I'm just going to do the basic, 250 pictures per camera, run 4 cameras. It's going to be 20 bucks a month. And I'm gonna get these set up probably tomorrow. Some of the other features about the camera that we can talk about with the SIM cards, like I haven't noticed any issues, you know, in my area. As long as like your phone works, you're probably not going to have any issues with your camera reporting those pictures to your phone. So I've got pretty good service in the woods that I hunt. Like I said, it's about 80 acres, and I've got a tower right across the railroad tracks. So I never had any issues with, you know, getting cell service. But if you had some issues, you know, you might want to change it up and see if AT&T maybe works a little bit better for you. But I've never really had that much trouble with it. There are some things you can do in terms of external power sources. They do make the external solar panels. I thought about getting some of those, but then I realized that majority of the time folks are not going to be putting their cameras you know, out in broad daylight on very exposed areas to the sun. Most of them are going to be putting them back in the woods, and so solar panels aren't going to do anything for you in that event. And so that's why I've been you know, making these battery boxes that I can literally just put these cameras anywhere I want. It can be dark and shaded spots, you know, back behind in bedding areas, things like that. So there's some benefits to doing it this way. You know, if you didn't really want to use the lithium batteries, you don't have to, but you know, I'm just going to do that as a backup. So I'm going to plug these in, you know, and just show you that these battery packs will work without the lithium batteries in there. So that green light lights up, and you can see the screen turned on. But then I'll go ahead and load these all up with these Energizer AA's lithium batteries before I take them out to the woods tomorrow. You know, I've got the SD cards in every one but this one, so I'll put an SD card in here, get this together, and you know, get the app set up with all these cameras before I take them out tomorrow. So the Reveal app seems like it's pretty user friendly from what I can see. Just you know, kind of playing around with it. You just add your cameras in there, and then you know, once you activate your account online, you know, pick your plan and add your cameras to it. You're going to have, you know, your library there for your photos, and if you want to buy additional HD photos or videos, you can do so. So everything that I've seen so far about the company, you know, Tacticam, with their cameras and everything, seems top of the line, and I have no complaints so far. So I might do an update video after the end of the season, just tell you what I think about the cameras after using them for a while. But so far I'm really liking it. They seem really user friendly, and I like that I can just plug in battery packs to them and keep them going, you know, for 4 or 5 months at a time if I'm not taking a whole lot of video photo, you know, and keeping these batteries topped off. So I did buy a little 1 amp battery charger, and I'll probably pull these sometime in probably late November and go ahead and charge these back up. So I think I can probably, you know, get them out there August, September, October, and then pull them out in November and go ahead and charge these batteries up. But I'll have those lithium batteries in there for a backup, so that'll be good. So like I said, you do have a lot of features you can add to these if you want. The solar panels, the battery boxes, they're all going to plug in the bottom of that camera port there. It's all waterproof and sealed tight, and I've heard some pretty good things about the photo quality of these. This particular camera can detect objects up to 96 feet, an adjustable night illumination up to 80 feet. So I think the actual megapixel of these cameras is 16 megapixels, which the X Pros, they changed that a little bit from the XB, the previous version. They were, I believe, 24 megapixel. And so the photo quality, I don't know if the megapixel count really matters that much. You know, it really just depends on the camera and some of the other features. I don't really put too much thought into the megapixel count. but I will say that there are only some very slight differences between the XB and the X Pro. On picture quality, it might be a little bit more clear and sharp with the XBs, but you know, they're discontinued, and I don't even think you can get them anymore. I've looked around for some of them, and I can't seem to find any online. So that's why I went ahead and bought all 4 of the same types. So with that being said, I'm going to go ahead and close this video out. If you have questions about these cameras, feel free to reach out to me. I can leave a list of links in the description for you on some of the stuff where I got battery boxes and some of the materials for that, where I got the SD cards, the batteries, things. I can leave a link in there so you can go ahead and order that if you want to. But I'm looking forward to this season and looking forward to getting these cameras out and seeing what pops up on my new cameras while I'm sitting back relaxed on the living room couch. So I should be moving out to my new house here in the next month or 2, and I'm really looking forward to, you know, doing a lot of projects on the farm and getting geared up for hunting season this year. It's early August here in Indiana. It's the 11th, so we've got dove opener coming here pretty soon in September, and then we've got waterfowl early goose, and then teal season about mid-September. And then right after that, it'll be, you know, prime time deer season. So October 1st, it kicks in here in Indiana. So I'm very fortunate to have, you know, some hunting ground and a lot of fun things on the schedule for this year. And I'll be probably doing some out-of-state hunts. I'd like to get into Illinois and do a hunt out there. And I'm also planning on a hunt in Missouri this year. So stay tuned for the more videos. I'm probably going to get out there and get these cameras out tomorrow, and I'll kind of show you some of that, what I'm going to be doing for those cell camera locations, how to get those cameras ready, you know, in place in a proper position, and what I do to kind of get those in areas that get a lot of deer movement and kind of capture some of that movement with various different means, whether it be water holes, you know, on different food sources, on mock scrapes, licking branches, all those various ways to, you know, kind of focus that deer movement so that you can get a picture of them or a video and just see what types of deer are coming through your area. So stay tuned for that. I'll catch up with you guys at the end of season and let you guys know how these cameras performed. But I appreciate you watching, and stay tuned for the next video. Please like and subscribe.